Hello, good afternoon. I think people are still joining and trickling in, so we'll give everyone a few minutes and then we'll get started. For those that are, hello, for those that are just continuing to join, the numbers are trickling in, so we're just giving everyone a minute or two and then we'll get started. All right, why don't we kick things off? I know people will continue to trickle in, but don't want to get this started. So, hello, thank you all for joining us. So today from Digitas, we're going to talk about driving growth in B2B marketing. And we're excited to have you all here. My name is Samantha Baharvar. I lead strategy at Digitas for New York and Atlanta offices, and I also lead our B2B Center of Excellence. I'll have my rest of my team introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Ashley McCants. I am an Associate Director of Connection Strategy and a CRM Specialist and B2B Specialist.
Hey, I'm Latif. I work on the Connection Strategy team. I'm based out of the New York office.
Hello, hi, Sachin Panjwani. I am also in the Connection Strategy team and I lead the West Coast Strategy practice.
Great, and Latif is going to kick us off today, starting to jump into some of the challenges we face in our B2B industry. That is going to be our launching pad of talking about some key opportunities for growth.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, indeed. We'll start at the high level just to set the stage, and then we'll get down into these opportunities each speaker will talk to. Just to get started, we all know that B2B companies are facing multidimensional challenges every day. The challenges are multivariate. If I can go to the next slide, please. And they range from industry shifts like digital transformation, which was already moving really fast over the past recent past. And during the pandemic, things accelerated even more so. Hybrid sales models needed to kick in. People needed more access to self-service online, e-commerce. So digital transformation, just the need for bandwidth even, has compounded significantly. Customers are more exacting in what they need because there's so much competition. There's so many good options for things you can buy in the B2B space that customers can be more exacting. So it really is a customer market today. And like data maturity. So data and analytics, just grounding what we're doing around fact-based insights has never been more important, and that continues to evolve. There are also external events that play a big role in creating this multidimensional, multifaceted challenge for B2B companies. The economic downturn we're seeing today is just one example. The supply chain crisis we've seen, it surprised most businesses. And what that's done on the B2B side is it's caused B2B companies to have to de-risk the decision to buy their solutions or their products more than ever before. Customers are looking for reliability, dependability amidst adversity. So they don't just want a product that's valuable today. They want to make sure that they're going to continue to be able to rely on it. And then all the while, we're continuing with internal pushes. We're innovating. New product launches mean that a marketer needs to very quickly put together a messaging structure, positioning frameworks, and maybe create a whole new media plan. while they're doing everything else business as usual, these things are happening. That means that the B2B buyer is not actually looking for what we're selling for the most part. They're really looking to solve these problems in a multifaceted way. And they deal with a complex set of conditions. So if we kind of look at what the B2B buyer is facing from a personal angle, we can see that our personal lives are mostly inextricable from our business lives. And when we make decisions, we're making decisions as B2B buyers with logic and emotion in mind. And what that means, not to make it look like we're being driven entirely by bias and emotion, but there is an element of, there's a high stakes element to making decisions in the business space. We know that a decision we make or a vendor we bring to our company will have a bearing on how we progress in our careers or how we do in our jobs and how we're rated. In fact, the rating of that vendor and the performance of that acquisition actually rates specifically on our own performance, and it'll come up when we talk about business reviews. So logic and emotion is something that we must start to consider as B2B marketers, considering that people are making multivariate decisions that ultimately are driven by their own imperatives. So for B2B marketing leaders, this requires a shift in how we work as well. And when I say how we work, I mean how we communicate. Because as marketers, we're planning market strategy, we're doing market research, we're trying to understand the audience, but we're also largely communicators. And we have to go from marketing to engaging with. This is something that we're doing across the board for the most part, but we have to continue to double down here, particularly as these multidimensional issues compound. It becomes so much more important to make sure that we're not only doing this in the acquisition phase, but also carrying it on towards the entire customer lifecycle. So we're acquiring, but also retaining and ensuring that there's customer success, not just a sale. So this is why we're here today. To thrive and drive growth in this environment, B2B marketing must adapt, and we have 4 opportunities that we'd like to share today. There's a lot of other ways to do this, but there are 4 key ways we think brands should double down on in 2023. 1, to develop multidimensional audiences. That'll be our starting point, and I'll hand over the mic to Sam.
Great. And before I jump in, I know some people were joining late. Just one thing, if you have questions throughout, please put them in the Q&A. At the end, we are going to be bringing those questions up and answering them for you. And then additionally, if you did join late, Latif was just taking us all through the landscape today and the challenges that we face in B2B marketing, which is why we're bringing forth these opportunities to help you drive growth. Great, so let's get started on audiences. So one thing we see is that when you think about your B2B buyer, it's not just one person, it's a whole buying committee. Depending on what market you're in, it could be if you're in IT tech, you could have an IT decision maker, but additionally, there could be a CMO that helps influence that decision, and finance, and procurement. So you have to think about when you are starting your journey of how to market your products in the B2B space, it's not just one buyer. You have to think of the whole committee together. And the reason for this is that everything that Latif was just talking to you through about logic and emotion and that business is personal, this is why you need to think of that whole committee. If you're just talking to one person, it's very much just, lead gen, which of course we are driving to lead gen, but it's more. You're going to connect emotionally if you're thinking about that entire buying committee. And once we have that established, the next stage is also important to understand where is your audience in their journey, or how we're actually interacting with you, or actually if they are a current customer or not, because that allows you to understand how to connect with them. So, for one example, it's acquisition. So these are prospects. You don't currently have this buyer, but you want to get them. So if you're trying to acquire new customers, how you're going to speak to them differently. It's all about, inspiring them and getting into their consideration set. And one way here is to think about thought leadership. They want to look at you as that leader. They want to, you want to bring them into your trust circle. So you want to give them that information so that they will think about you and consider. If it's expansion, so they're a current customer, but there's a lot more opportunity, they have other lines of business, how do you grow that relationship? So this is talking to them about, more things that you do, bringing them demos, webinars, guidebooks, so they can think of you beyond just the current product that they're buying. And then there's retention. We also have to think about, it doesn't stop once you get this prospect, or once you get this actual conversion to, or even a lead. You want to nurture them. You need to retain those customers, which then requires fully understanding what their needs are, personalizing your communication to them, really showing those best practices, those case studies, so that they'll continue to think about you for more. It's really also, it's that whole, end-to-end loop, and, making sure that you're continuing the journey. And also this then also will transfer over to sales. And Ashley is going to talk about that in her next section, about how you're making sure that marketing is connecting to sales, so that it's a full end-to-end feedback loop and it doesn't just stop at the end of the journey. And we want to talk about one example that we worked on that did all of this. So HPE, one of our longstanding clients that we work on, when we first started working on their business over 6 years ago, we really wanted to build for them a world-class digital marketing engine, full end-to-end, everything from, starting with the audience all the way through with creative and content and media and connecting to sales and, continuing everything I just talked about, continuing that nurture journey. What we really did was, first we started, by understanding, as I mentioned, the full buying committee, which was, IT and finance and marketing. We did a lot of deep in the market research, trying to understand these individual audiences, how they work together, what their tensions are on a personal level and in business, so we can understand, those motivations and behaviors to really connect. What were their needs? And then we developed, this huge array of content, not just the top, upper funnel advertising content, but also in their own channels, helping them with white papers and videos, and all the way down to lead gen. And then we determined, how do we serve this content in media as well, but also in own channels. And, yes, buying journeys are not linear, but just making sure when we think about their research process, what's the right content to deliver to them throughout. And then we also, we connected it, of course, we could follow and understand these prospects and connecting them to leads. But once we converted to leads, it's not stopping there. We made sure that they were qualified. We connected them into, HPE's Salesforce, so then we could make sure that it was handed off to sales, and sales continued that journey to talk to them, based on the needs that we had and all, the content and everything we uncovered with this audience. And then that will then take us to, as I mentioned before, how this all connects to sales and marketing. And Ashley's going to take you through this section.
So while we've all heard that alignment and true partnership between sales and marketing is really a key driver of successful B2B marketing efforts, and driving customer retention, customer acquisition, 85% of sales leaders and marketers still see that there's like a huge gap in that for their companies, and an opportunity to actually drive that alignment, and opportunity to kind of drive that business performance. And what happens oftentimes is sales and marketing are kind of treated like organizations that are fighting for control of customers and driving revenues, or as just pillars of strategy, rather than thinking about the importance of the individuals within these organizations and how they actually work together for that common goal of doing what's best for their customers, whether that is, like Sam mentioned, like expanding into additional products with the customer, retaining the customers through deeper relationships, or just finding net new customers. A lot of that gets lost in the swirl of actually kind of working together as sales and marketing organizations. It's an age-old problem, but it requires a new approach as the way that people work together and the way that work is changing. It requires a thought and thinking about how you can actually focus more on engaging with people internally to nurture the relationships between sales and marketing, in the same way that you would really think about driving and nurturing relationships with customers. So true sales and marketing alignment's not just about like having standing meetings to share outcomes or tracking campaign performance on one dashboard. It's really about like strong partnership between marketers and sellers. And this partnership really requires like a real true relationship that's kind of built on visibility and transparency, clarity, and open and honest communication. So really by focusing on the relationship between the two teams versus the job function, it puts the customer at the center, and it allows and it facilitates a relationship where both sides are kind of able to put all cards on the table, like you're working together to define and establish like what are we doing? How do we want to treat these customers? What are our ideal leads? We have shared definitions of everything. And you're able to kind of establish that open and honest communication, both on what's working and what's not, adapting and adjusting, which creates that partnership and work that's continuously evolving. Alignment between sales and marketing is not a destination. Like, you don't get to alignment, it's a journey, and you continuously iterate on that over time. So the first thing that's required when you get to that informed and shared view of a customer is really strengthening those relationships internally. Starts with a more consistent and open sharing of data and information. So having a holistic view of interactions and engagement really enables your marketing teams to kind of activate those sales insights directly from the customer in campaigns, and then allow sales to kind of understand content that their customers are and leads are actually engaging with, kind of creating their opportunities for deeper personalization and increased outreach, relevance, and a more connected experience for customers, because what sales and marketing are doing are basically happening in hand, and it's a continuous relationship and continuous conversation. To do this really requires prioritization of projects that create automated and bi-directional marketing insight sharing that really makes inputting these insights and data into one place really seamless and part of your everyday, day-to-day process from both the marketing and sales side. We know that both marketers and sellers are very busy. You have a lot on your plates. So you need something that's a low time investment to make sure that this sharing of insights is easy, streamlined, and really like integrated into what you are already doing. But that we know the realities of projects like that kind of require business cases, they require funding, buy-in. It can be a journey to get to that sort of prioritization of a project. So while those monetary investments may take time to execute, there's still some investing in the relationships that can happen even before the actual infrastructure and projects are in place, right? So it's really thinking about how do you establish those lines of communications to share interesting tidbits that come from a marketing campaign back to those sellers that are actually touching those customers and continuing the relationship beyond just the lead generation. Sharing that information, creating those direct lines of communication, it really starts to build a bridge between sales and marketing that then is supported as you continuously get the infrastructure in place and the technology that makes it even easier for that bridge to continue and expand throughout the organizations. The next piece is really around thinking about collaboration, collaborative lead strategies, and shared definitions. So connecting with people as people through personal relationships really to develop those partnerships requires the shared goals and a collaborative approach to planning. The lead to customer experience should be more than just a handoff from marketing to sales. It has to kind of start as a continued collaboration to develop and evolve, to continuously iterate and build on the right combined marketing and sales strategies to find, nurture, and convert those leads. The true collaboration here really kind of relies and starts with a shared definition of what a qualified lead is and a collaborative approach to account planning. So when you're thinking about a shared definition, that leads to consistent and cross-functional agreement of what a qualified lead is. So marketing has a definition and shares the definition with sales, and sales also has a shared definition of what a qualified lead is with marketing. So we're all speaking the same language. We're all looking for the same customer. We're looking for the same audience. We all have the same reference point of what the right audience is, so that everyone is going into this looking for the same audiences, which leads to less wasted time from both the sales and marketing side, but also creates more efficiency in marketing spend. When you know that, like when you're able to drive and capture insights from sales in terms of who are you actually looking for, who is the right influencer in that buying group that you have to kind of do extra work to move, marketing is able to more effectively and efficiently target those audiences through campaign spend. And that those dollars go further, the content goes further because it's making sure you're creating the right content based on what your customers and the audience actually needs. And it allows both sellers and marketers to really demonstrate a true understanding of that customer and create a consistent, continuous conversation with them. It allows both sales and marketing to have more trust in the leads that are coming in, the content that's being created, and again, creates more efficiency in the campaigns, both on both sides, and a more seamless experience for the customer overall. And then from there, really having a strong relationship allows for sharing wins and losses and opportunities in a space that isn't attempting to assign blame to either side, right? So at this point, we are talking about having a shared view of insight. So we're both able, like both sides, both marketing and sales are able to see what we know about the customer, we're able to action against it. We also have collaborated from the very beginning, building the strategies, having a shared definition. We know what the qualified leads are. So at this point, any feedback is really how do we strengthen this partnership rather than playing a blame game, right? We're all on the same page. We're all on the same side. So now it's about how do we continue to move this and push this further. So it allows for constant content improvement. It allows for smarter conversations with customers. And it also creates a natural conversation point and touch point between sales and marketing to continue to build on that relationship and continue to strengthen the partnership between the two teams. You have to continuously talk to each other. You have to continuously have a cadence of check-ins, checkpoints beyond just that initial annual planning, beyond campaign outset and planning. You also have to continue that relationship over time and building it that way. This minimizes an adversarial approach to feedback after campaigns and really creates spaces that to share open feedback with the goal of continual and collective improvement, both sharing information about what's working in the partnership between organizations and how to continue to move forward. While we're sharing those learnings, it's really about continuously also finding the key nuggets of where are those customers, where are there net new opportunities within the existing customers, where are there things to watch out for with customers that we need to retain, do we need to up any effort? So it really just makes everything that we're doing much smarter about who these customers are, who we need to actually spend marketing dollars against, who we need to prioritize, what messaging we should prioritize. Creating that true partnership between sales and marketing, really, again, it requires work. It is not a one and done exercise. It's not something that you can check off the box. You can't say alignment is done, now we can move on. You have to continuously work at it. You have to continuously nurture that relationship. The same way you don't capture a customer and then never talk to them again. That is how you have to approach that relationship with sales and marketing. It has to be a continuously sharing of information, continuing to build trust between the two sides over time, especially as customers' needs continue to change and grow. Your organization's needs will continue to change and grow. And as your brand evolves and changes over time, that will also require a new approach to how does sales and marketing start to build those stories and bring those stories to life differently as that brand story changes. So it's not a one and done, like I mentioned. It has to be continuous partnership, and it all relies on actually building relationships with the people on the other sides and not thinking about it as job functions, but thinking it as individuals who are all trying to do what's best for our customers. So I'll hand it off to Latif now, who will kind of talk through how those brand stories and how do you build the brand that matters so that sales and marketing has something to say when they do have this strong partnership.
Awesome. And before Latif jumps in, I know a few people have joined late, so no worries if you missed what we just went through with multidimensional audiences and connecting sales and marketing. We will be sharing out this deck afterwards. And then also just a reminder, if you have questions throughout, please put them in the Q&A and we will get to them at the end. Okay, thanks. Over to you, Latif.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, sales are the people that are the closest to the buyer. They're the closest to our target customers. They're working with them on a day in, on a basis that's super constant, and they have so much to share in terms of information on challenges in the field. But they're also key touch points for the brand, and every interaction they have in the market, just like anything we do in the market as advertising professionals or marketing professionals, has an impact on the brand. I just wanted to start out this section by laying something out. 95% of business clients are actually out of market at any given moment. So what that means is now we have a challenge. How do we make sure we're capitalizing on that 5%, which, by the way, I think we tend to over-index on capitalizing on that 5%. And how do we pull more people out of that 95% into the market? Let's talk about it. What makes a B2B brand that matters? It's going to be a brand that has a sense of, or has an ability to impact the bottom line of the business fundamentally. It's not just a logo, it's not just corporate identity, and it's definitely not just a vision statement, but it's all those things together. And it works hand in hand with every other piece of the puzzle that it takes to go to market. The brand builds emotional connections with the market. The brand helps to generate demand. And so it's not opposed to demand. And finally, the brand is everywhere. It's the entire experience that we're feeling, the entire experience society has with the brand. It's not just, again, the website or some ads that somebody might see. It's an entire experience. So let me start out by talking about how the B2B brand builds emotional connections. Well, we know that from a leadership perspective, in order for a vision or purpose to be conveyed throughout the organization, it has to start from the top. It has to start at the highest rungs, because a CEO is going to be the person that asks his or her teams to play an active role in making that vision come to life in the marketplace. The emotional connections also go into this territory where you're creating separation from the competition through differentiated communication points and through distinctive assets. And then finally, it compels, at the basic level, sentiments and adjectives for the brand. Do we feel good about a specific company? Do we feel like a company is intelligent, slow, fast, the best at a particular topic? Well, those are the things that are mostly emotional in nature. They're related to the logical precepts. So if you have a product that's performing really well, you're likely to be considered, from an emotional perspective or a sentiment perspective, a brand that does killer work and that you can really rely on. So one example I have here is from ServiceNow. Bill McDermott, the CEO of ServiceNow, partnered with the CMO of ServiceNow to come up with this vision statement. Essentially, they wrap it all up into the statement, "The world works with ServiceNow." So this is a great example of the brand promise starting at the top and then driving purposeful integration throughout the business. And this comes to life in the way they talk about their customer stories. It also comes to life in the way they deliver products and solutions and establish their reason for existing. Essentially, it's to make sure the world works better. And that's what I'm taking away from the ServiceNow example. Before we move on to the next slide, I want to tee it up. The next slide is going to be showing a case study. We worked with FIS, one of Digitas's clients, to put together a brand campaign called the Built for Bold brand campaign. The idea was that we wanted to reach, and by the way, a great testament to leadership over there, to invest not just in brand initiatives, but to take that a step further by putting an emotive touch to it. By doing this, we were able to focus on communicating to our audience that we have empathy for the buyer. And what you'll see in the film that'll roll shortly is that we've got this buyer that's challenged by naysayers everywhere they go. They've got this great, bold, innovative idea. And then you'll see how FIS comes in to show that we understand that it's challenging in the marketplace and we're here to partner with you. So this is how brands could bring emotion to life. I'll go ahead and roll the film.
You want to launch the world's largest streaming channel in over 40 countries, all in one go.
Yeah.
You are dreaming. That is impossible.
So to recap, people who've never banked before, ever. Whew, that's a doozy.
で、それが仮想通貨をアクセスできる銀行なんです。
You want to make grocery stores without checkouts.
Right, exactly.
You're selling fashion for who?
Avatars.
Avatars.
Well, what if we could pay our bills on social media?
That is a terrible idea.
You want me to sell my videos as an NFT?
Buy a car with a text? Nope, next.
No.
I hate it.
Negative.
Are you kidding me?
What is happening here?
Are you crazy?
We love it.
We think this is a bold idea.
So through this was actually a branded campaign with assets across the digital space. So, banners, video ads, takeover spots. And the idea was to convey that we understand you, the bold innovator, and we empathize with you. So very much an emotional connection play. The next section I want to talk about is around this general concept that brand is opposed to demand, and one has to invest in one or the other. Well, technically on a budget, you do have to do something to delineate how you're investing the money, but the brand pervades every single element of our marketing platform. And that's what I want to talk about here. It actually helps to accelerate demand. It's not something that should be considered one or the other. And it's not that binary. For one, if we go to the next slide, we can see that brand spots actually help to support conversion rates on acquisition spots. In fact, one study here that we're showing here from the LinkedIn B2B Institute shows that 6 times higher conversion is logged for acquisition ads when they're run with brand messages. Similarly, a salesperson is likely to get their phone call picked up from a prospect who's heard of the brand before. This stat shows that that's 150% higher for salespeople that call people that know the brand versus those that may not. So it's time to balance this budget and really look at this holistically. And the great news is that in recent surveys, we see that most marketing leaders actually agree that brand marketing is vital for revenue growth. But there's a big gap here because they're often investing less than 20% of the budget. As we're heading into what looks like a significant economic downturn, now is the time not to over-index on performance marketing, which is going to get us a lot of short-term results. Super important to continue to do that. How are we going to use all the data and analytics we've invested in if we don't do that? It's super vital to continue that. However, if we're not feeding the top of the funnel, let's say, if we're using the funnel as the construct here, and there's many other constructs that one can use, then you can see in this very simple visual that we'll be able to expand that funnel and maybe bring some people that are in market to us instead of the competition. Remember, it's only 5% or so in market or more. It's really just a concept, this 95-5 rule, but it's a concept we should take to the table when we're considering putting communications out into the market. I'll end with this section around the brand being part of the entire experience society faces when they, the entire experience society has with the brand at every touch point across the entire buyer's journey. Every channel that we use as marketers is playing a significant role in brand, whether we like it or not. When customers are looking for answers, we're usually thinking of maybe indexing higher on performance marketing, and that would actually make a lot of sense for sure. But there are still touch points in the performance marketing space where brand has a heavy role, and we should consider a balance there. And you know, the big headline here that I'd like to get our audience to take away here is that we should be showing up in context, not just showing up. So when our audiences are, let's say, sitting at home, you have a CTO sitting at home watching TV with their child. Is this a good opportunity to roll a video like the FIS spot we just saw? I think it is, particularly because you're going to be making that emotional connection and helping to build mental availability for the brand when they do see acquisition ads in the marketplace or when they're ready to buy. So brand is totally marketing's responsibility, but every single function in the business also has part of that responsibility. Everything from a customer service phone call. If you're getting just 100 customer service calls a day, and some companies get many more, it's an opportunity. That's 100 opportunities to make a brand imprint that matters. When you're dealing with legislators or you're dealing with regulatory initiatives, are we conveying the vision that the company is trying to propagate in the marketplace so that we can show how we're adding value to society? And in earnings calls, something very simple is the CEO connecting business results with company values. And that way we're building these emotional connections so the brand is becoming a personality and a life force itself that helps to propel the business forward. Finally, I'd like to end with 3 really shining examples of brand leaders that do this really well. All of the companies on the screen, Intel, IBM, 3M, they all do something really unique. They all have something really unique to share in the market, and they're all known for being top players. These are indeed prestigious brands, so they're a bit easy to choose. But I think it won't be very hard to find examples in the mid-market and other enterprise examples if we look. But I brought these up because I want to convey that it's not so easy, and sometimes you have to break away from the norm in order to break through. In the example of Intel, Intel markets directly to consumers. It's got this Intel Inside sticker it used to have on laptops, and now as a consumer, you're more compelled to demand that Intel be inside a laptop if that's the type of computing environment you're looking for. So that's a very interesting approach to market. IBM, IBM people have been Nobel Prize winners. They have been inventors of many innovations, for example, the ATM machine, amongst others. And it's a brand that's known for excellence. It doesn't go to market specifically by talking about its products and solutions and infrastructure and software. It goes to market through rich storytelling of these advanced innovations. And at the same token, one might be able to see that this plays a big role in attracting talent, because as an employee that wants to work for a company committed to excellence, you're looking for this added jolt of purpose when you're seeking out a new job. And 3M, a third of sales at 3M comes from products that didn't exist 5 years ago. They've got over 60,000 products in their catalog. They continue to develop. Research and development is their hero, and it's how they lead when they communicate in the market. So with that, there's a lot of ways you can do this. I think creativity in the way that you put together ads and in the way that you communicate in the market is really important. And Sachin's going to talk to you a little bit about how you can make this happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Latif. And to Latif's point, brand is everywhere. And as we all know, creative is such a critical part of that. But unfortunately, if you don't mind going to the next slide, we are in the midst of a creative crisis. LinkedIn B2B Institute put together a study which showed 3 out of 4 ads are actually not effective. And in fact, if we think about most B2B marketing, when asked from the buyers itself, almost half of the B2B buyers find those ads boring. And the other half, and 73%, actually find thought leadership content where we spend so much of our time building that content as not effective. So there is a sense of crisis here. But those outliers that the creatives that have got through, that have really performed, have kind of tapped into a bit of a neuroscience aspect of it by activating memory encoding. That is the process of the mind where memory is, you enter into the memory space, and which eventually creates brand recall and then eventually drives brand sales. And when dissected further, what really does the enhances or highlights the memory encoding aspect of it, it's essentially creative ideas, whether it's novelty, there's a novel factor to it, whether there's a sense of empathy, is it believable, like, is it relevant to me? And then a creative experience, whether it's unique, it's immersive, surprising, and entertaining. So when the analysts have looked into this, these are the 3 key factors that enhance memory encoding and eventually help a brand recall. And the way to think about this in common terms, when we think about how do we really think about infusing creativity then from a B2B perspective, is this idea of be entertaining without being whimsical. And there is a temptation to be unique and be different and get to the whimsical route. But B2B creative is almost like a spectrum. You can, there's a lot of vanilla creative, and there's the whimsical aspect of the spectrum. But given what the audience is, and to Latif's earlier point about B2B is personal, there is a sense of gravitas. There needs to be a sense of balance between the spectrum, and what we've seen is the whimsical creative sometimes often doesn't perform. The next point is be interesting, and this goes, be interesting without being controversial. Goes without saying, there is a need to be interesting, but there's also the temptation to be controversial needs to be tempered down. And lastly, B2B more so than any other category has to have a value exchange. It's a very logical audience that needs a value exchange in terms of every interaction they have. And this value exchange needs to be useful, but without being complicated. And so we'd like to show you a few examples that have really kind of tapped into one dimension and someone that's captured all three. So FIS, again, a client of ours, rather than focusing a B2B value prop, they tapped into the insight of consumers that they are dealing with and what that pain point is. And we'll take a look at that.
Password. Girl, I don't remember any passwords.
You should already know my zip code.
Honey, what's my maternal grandmother's maiden name?
Girls, it says I'm missing something somewhere.
Maybe it's in my spam folder. How do you check your spam folder?
What's my favorite marine mammal?
No. 35.
Select all the images of chimneys.
What's my pet's name? I don't have a pet.
Now it wants a password.
I can't find it.
You should already have my credit card number.
Two says I'm missing one. What am I missing?
How do you spell that?
738. No. I am not a robot.
Already have an account.
Credit card denied.
Will you just shut it?
Wait.
You see that it was easy to go down and speak about a B2B value prop to the merchants audience, but they tapped into a human insight, which is entertaining, and which is relatable to even the audience that is a B2B audience. So it was very well done and performed incredibly well. The next example that we want to speak about is AT&T. And AT&T was a great example of just tempering simple humor, visual humor, and instead of talking about AT&T business fiber, they showed what happens to your business if everything goes slow. So visually, they reflected the end goal and conveyed and associated the power of AT&T as a product. And so again, humor is it's a delicate term, a delicate space. It needs to be tread carefully, but at the same time, when tied up with a user insight that's universal, it can play through and activate that sense of emotion there. SAP, as an example, has been pretty unique in terms of their using their product and actually creating a value asset from an interesting perspective for the end consumer. And we'll just give that as an example here.
It's a very special relationship between a fan and a team. It feels almost as if that team is part of the family. We won, we lost. This is a live business, and it's all about live information. Each team plays 82 games, 41 home games, 41 away games, and we have 30 teams. So you do the math. What we're trying to accomplish is to take that enormous amount of data and translate that so that our fans have it in a usable form. SAP took 70 years of statistics and crunched all of that data into a live database so our fans can create virtually any permutation. We've had a 65% increase in the usage of our stats website. We have close to 1 billion people who access the NBA experience. And when they increase their engagement, that increases our business.
So this is an interesting case of them using their technology, making it more consumer-centric from an application. And what's fascinating about this is SAP turned it around and made it a use case and a case study that they use in marketing, and has created a lot of credibility. And to Lati's earlier point, Bill Dermott was actually the CEO of SAP and now ServiceNow, and you're seeing that same playbook being applied of using case studies and use cases of actual clients. And here is a great example of Eton IT, which actually combines everything. It combines entertainment, interesting, and being useful. So they realize that IT pros are essentially essential workers, but not given that status. And coming out of COVID, they were most likely to be burnt out. There's a lot of depression and stress in that space. So they created a virtual recreation room, and this room incorporated gamification and dynamic content, which involved fun, humor, and resources that they could go to 24/7, and also added education for the other their children and other folks to understand what IT pros do. And given that they hit all 3 points of entertainment, being interesting, and being useful, they actually were the winners of the FE B2B for 2022. So to recap, the ways to there is a crisis in across creativity, but there are ways to get to it. Just to summarize: be entertaining, be interesting, and be useful.
Great. Thank you, Sachin. So now to we've taken you through the 4 key takeaways to drive growth. Just to recap, we talked about developing multidimensional audiences, really thinking about that the full buying committee and not just one person, and making sure to connect emotionally throughout their journey. We actually talked about making sure that sales and marketing collaborate. They have a shared view of the customer. They're sharing that data to drive those qualified leads. Latif took you through building a brand that matters. It's so crucial to connect emotionally with your brand. It allows you to be distinctive, and really generate that demand through the funnel, and that your branding is going to show up in your full ecosystem. And then we just heard Sachin talk about gaining the creative edge, making sure that your work is entertaining, interesting, and useful. And if you saw, really our key main theme here is that, B2B is, it's still a personal, emotional choice paired with logic. So that definitely needs to be seen, making sure you're bringing that through all of your key opportunities if you're driving towards growth. So now we want to open it up to questions. We do have some coming in the chat. Let's see, the first one is around how should you prioritize strategic immediate investment during an economic downturn? Very good, important question. It's definitely something we also were seeing at the beginning of COVID. It's important. Our advice is to stay connected. Customers need to see you continuing through these tough times. They need to still make sure they're seeing you as that partner, and that will also help you when things do stabilize. And it's important to, you also have to think about what your immediate goals are. If you do need to cut back budgets, if you have strong awareness, maybe it is just driving a little bit more towards that demand gen, that lower lead gen and lower funnel. Or if you're kind of a newer brand, maybe you need to be working a little bit more on that awareness, the branding effort. So we definitely think you should not, you should still be present. You shouldn't, completely cut off, but you have to, figure out what your immediate goals are and focus there. Let's see, we have another question. I'm going to hand this one over to Ashley. Can account-based marketing solve the marketing and sales alignment problem?
So it can be a part of your solution, but it can't be your only solution. And the reason being is account-based marketing is really an approach to your strategy from like an audience-centric perspective of who's the right audience, what's their need, what should it be our strategy from a marketing and sales side. But if marketing and sales still don't have that collaboration in place and you don't have true alignment and definition of what your shared goals are, what your definition of a qualified lead is for this campaign, and you're not activating insights based on what your sales team knows to actually build these marketing strategies, it still doesn't necessarily create that alignment that you're looking for. It's really like you put together a strategy together, but it's still not true collaboration because it wasn't like as integrated as it could be if you don't actually have the relationships between the two teams and you aren't actually like as open and continuous that feedback loop. So really, I guess the answer is like, yes, it could, but it can only be part of your solution. Putting account-based marketing in place is not your solution for alignment. It is an output of that alignment.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. Next question. How can marketers change a lead gen oriented culture? I think Latif is going to start tackling this one.
Sure. So a lead gen culture, not a terrible thing. It's actually a good thing if you're doing it well. And by lead gen, I'm assuming that it's a data inspired or data driven performance marketing program as long as it's running on all cylinders, it's a good time to step back and look at that bigger picture, look at that longer term. Remember, you can look at it almost as brand initiatives being demand generation and lead gen initiatives being demand harvesting, if you wanted to look at it in a different way. I think that you have to build a desire, you have to build mental availability, you have to build relevance in the marketplace, and frankly, that's not going to be done by trying to drive lead gen. Remember, the salespeople in the field are actively doing lead gen day in and day out. So we can support them by balancing the budget a bit and shifting away from a mostly lead gen centric budget to providing some air cover in the field through brand initiatives.
Awesome. Thank you, Latif. Okay, next question. Sachin, I think this one's going to be for you. What if we don't have a big budget for edgy creative advertising?
Oh, I should have guessed that question, but I mean, this is an interesting, a little cliche answer here. Often it's all about, even if the resources are tight, it's all about the insight, and we've seen that the ads that really do well are based on this human insight and have a sense of empathy, and can then translate into humor, compassion, or any other sense. But I think that should be the base of defining creative. And the budgets are great, but I think the insight is the champion. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Next question, which I can take. Since the buying committee is so large, who should we be targeting as our primary audiences? So I think it also goes back to, what industry are you in? Who is your primary decision maker? For example, the HPE case that we shared, our number one primary audience was people in IT because it was tech. So yes, we did make sure we were marketing to marketing and finance and other areas because we knew they were part of that decision. But we did have, we knew the primary was IT. They may not have been the final person to actually, sign the check, but they were key because obviously they're the ones that they're using the infrastructure, they're using the cloud products. So they were, a key voice in that. So you have to determine, based on your industry, based on your goals, based on all of your audience research that you'll do out in the market, who is that, primary audience. And yes, and then you can, when it gets into your actual campaigns, you can focus, put a little bit more weight against that audience. And also even with, account-based marketing, as Ashley talked about, you can figure it out and, flight things in that way as well.
Yeah, and one other add to that answer too, I think another piece to consider is when you do have that alignment between sales and marketing, you're also able to tap into your sales team at times to determine what part of the buying committee is the biggest challenge and the most work to be done. Your sales team kind of knows from working with their partners from a customer side, especially for an existing customer, they know who internally they have the most struggle with convincing, and you can tap into that team as well. So once you actually have that partnership, that's where those insights come into play as well. So making sure that alignment is there also helps from an audience prioritization perspective.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Okay, another question. What do you foresee the role of AI in the future of B2B creative? That's a fun
one. I think AI is always going to be additive. It allows creative with OpenAI and all the solutions that are upcoming. It gives the creative team more options and more variability in terms of choices. I don't think it's ever going to replace it, but I think you're going to get a wide range of fusion, and it's an exciting space to be in.
Great. Okay. Maybe I'll do one more question that came in. Are brand investments always a long-term payoff? Steve, I'll hand this one over to you.
Sure. Bad brand investments are a never payoff, for one. So if you put in something that's just vision oriented without really connecting it to what the audience needs, you're really just making ads for yourself. So let's just make sure that we're defining what a brand investment means. So a brand investment means, and brand investments are going to be short and long-term payoff, just to answer the question if they're done properly, which means that we're tying it to that core insight that Sachin just mentioned. That's really going to be the most bulletproof way to do this. so that the brand investment could pay off in the short and long term.
Great, thank you. All right, well, I think we are going to wrap. Thank you so much for everyone who joined and listened to us today. We hope you found it useful, learned some new things. We are going to share this deck, and definitely please reach out to us if you ever have any questions. We are here. We are your B2B experts. So, and we're happy to continue on this journey with everyone. So, thank you again. Everyone have a nice weekend.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.